Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Chestnut Checkers. I am Keith Riddle here, as always, with my co-host Jordan Tampien. And today's guest is none other than a very special guest for multiple reasons, my good friend Chad Huetter.
Hello.
So, welcome to the show,
Yeah,
Chad.
nice to be here, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
I feel like we already had half the podcast before we started.
Yeah. We have a few things that we
That's
already
when you know a
touched
podcast
on.
is going to be good.
Yeah, we
It's
started
when
off.
half the good cut comes out and you're like, okay, this is
We hit the
recording
ground
that.
running, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes a little slow rev up on our other ones. So this one, I like how it's starting.
I know. Well, the former guest was the mayor, so you have big shoes to fill, Chad.
That's what I heard. Keith told me that, and I thought, well, the mayor, then we need the chief of police,
Oh, yeah.
and then in
then Chad
succession,
Huetter.
Chad Huetter. I mean, it just is like logical to me anyway. No.
We got to end with the best one on that one, right? Got to surmise it all.
So, Chad, I always start with this question. Spokane native?
No, I was born in Boise, Idaho.
Boise,
So I'm not an
Idaho.
actual native, but I mean, I guess you could like, where are you from? Question is kind of in the air, like
Vague.
where you're born and
Right.
I consider myself from Spokane.
Yeah.
I'm fifth grade on kind of Spokane. So
Yeah, Boise's my other place I'd live.
Boise's awesome.
It's my favorite.
and Boise's changed. Like, I mean, that's a kind of obvious statement,
Yeah.
but like
I feel like I'd
considerably
move
since
to
my
Boise
childhood.
tomorrow.
Yep.
And then I would want to leave Boise in like 10 years.
Well, it's
because
got-
I would be like, dang it.
Yeah, and it's. I think when I was in Boise last, it was really kind of. It's got the transient kind of almost. I don't want to like even compare it to Austin, but it's
Yeah.
got like that college vibe going on downtown. With.
Well, and I was going down there for business pretty regularly for a couple years. And I know you did some business down there, but I'll tell you, the telltale sign is the license plates on the freeway.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
more than half those plates are California plates.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
one
it's
of
probably
those-
a really largely growing
from
city,
Silicon
right?
Valley.
I don't
yeah, it's
know
all
how
shoving
fast
up
it's
that-
growing, but I could only imagine it's
that direction.
Yeah, it helps them drop Micron in there. The little $15 billion budget to build out
Well, they haven't even,
plants and-
that hasn't even started yet, right?
First phase. That's
Okay.
First phase. But and it just it has everything, but it doesn't have everything. Like then you come back to I love Spokane for that reason. You got mountains, real mountains. Then you got more lakes. You got more things to get to. And it's kind of why I'm bullish. But just picture dropping WSU and Olympia in Spokane. That's
Right.
Boise.
right.
Yeah, because the
Because they
capital,
have the state
plus
capital
it has
and
the
their largest
college.
university.
Yeah.
That's
in
true.
there, so.
Yep. Yeah. So I would consider myself from Spokane. Yep.
Nice. And so we've known each other a long time, but you did a stint in Seattle.
Yeah, I did actually a long stint in Seattle. I lived in Seattle for I want to say 17 years, which is
stint.
pretty incredible. Yeah, I don't know how much you want to go on the history of all that, but essentially my wife got into a grad program at UW, and we were living here in Spokane. This is early 2000s, 2002, 3. And she got into a grad program there. I was farming, actually with Keith's brother, Josh.
Yeah.
And I got my degree in agriculture. And I farmed down in the Palouse, farmed a bit up here. And
Then wound up in Seattle.
Naturally.
When he first moved there, I was like,
Yeah,
bro,
yeah,
you're going
yeah.
to Seattle.
and I was open-minded. I was like, let's do it. Small town
Yeah.
kid. Let's go see the city. Let's go have some fun. Like that's how I was. I was 23.
Yeah.
Let's go to Seattle. Fuck it. And I lived in Seattle for 17 years. I started in Ballard, which is an awesome neighborhood.
Amazing. Yeah.
Love Ballard. And I was kind of like at that, like Seattle was, in the early 2000s, like, there was like the Wallingford, Ballard, Fremont
Movement.
movement, happening there. Like the breweries, which I'm sure we'll dip into, which super stoked on all that, what was happening with that. But
The tractor bar. Do you remember the tractor bar?
love the tractor. That's the place to go, man. Music and
Excellent.
Where's that one at?
it's right there and
Down right on the strip on
right on
Ballard,
the strip,
right?
man. The old,
yeah.
it's old school kind of little.
Yeah, because that's where we'd go when I would go to Seattle. Our friends lived on Green Lake.
Okay.
And so then we'd go over to Ballard for dinner and just kind of out on the town.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. And then what Ballard was like, it still had those kind of ware homes, the artist community. And that changed considerably at my time there. I helped build a restaurant, Bastille. And I don't think Bastille's there. It was a French restaurant.
Okay.
It went from like ware-homey kind of hippie stuff to just like double parked Mercedes-Benz like people from the east side, which we call the east side. That's like Bellevue.
Yeah.
They pretty much were like, let's go. They love that.
Because that's where she was doing her first art. Was in the Ballard area.
That's
and then
right.
she sold at that gallery because there was a lot more galleries and artists and music and I think that's what got it's really cool vibe.
It definitely did. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like as soon as you get those things, changes a lot. You know, people are like, whoa, what's this? You know, it was a funky, cool little neighborhood. And then that stuff changes really quick in Seattle.
Yeah. Well, they can move so fast. Like they can move areas so fast because of that. And
Yeah,
all of a
there's
sudden
so
it's
much money.
gentrified, and then all of a sudden it's this is the area to be, and then all of a sudden you can't get a house. And
Yep. Yeah.
Well, and when you were over there, you did some work. Now, I was going to talk to you a little bit about this, but you did some work for a pretty high-end architecture firm, right?
Yeah. So, you know, coming from a farming background, I went to Seattle. I was like, well, what the heck am I going to do? Like, what does a farmer do in downtown Seattle, you know? And, well, build. You know, I could work with my hands. You know, I could do all that. And luckily, through Megan's connections at the U, she had some good friends that were doing everything in the city, and I met some builders. Well, we need a guy. You know, can you wear a tool bag today? Well, sure, I wear a tool bag today. And so I started. That's where I started my construction kind of background started there.
So then fast forward this conversation, like 17 years, Hooty comes back to Spokane and I'm like flipping houses and I'm like, hey man, I could use some of your expertise. And like, I think Hooty spends like one day on my job site. He's like, bro, this is not what I do.
there's nothing custom about
like, he
this.
said it politely, right? But
Well, and I didn't want to be nose in the air.
He's doing
about
like
it.
inlaid, like, you know, whatever, Brazilian oak trim for somebody's house that works for Microsoft. And like now you're trying to get me to slap up 3-inch like MDF trim.
Used,
Like,
recycled MDF.
Definitely.
It wasn't recycled, but it was, you know.
No.
Can we get by with a rubber base
It
on
was
this
like,
one?
well, so hats off to Hooty. He's that kind of, I would call like a true craftsman.
Yeah.
You know, like there's the difference in the contracting world of people that are contractors and then there's craftsmen, right? And craftsmen are a different level.
It's hard. You got to be in a market that pays for craftsmen. I think that's
Well,
the
and that's the
difficult
thing. I got really lucky, you know, in that sense because I was a know-nothing guy, and I got on with people that were really, really good at what they did, and so I just got in at ground floor, you know, and so
Yeah, it's probably pretty awesome design without budgets too.
lots of money, man. And I mean, I couldn't tell you how many jobs I had.
Design without budgets.
Yeah, think about that. I was just thinking about going into a
That's
house
the
if
trademark of your company name, right? Like Johnson Contracting, design without budgets.
we use design without limits, but we meant no budget.
Yeah.
There was very much that. Tons of design and there was lots of times where a lot of these people that I built houses or whatever it was that I was doing, they weren't even living there. They would come home 2 days, 3 days a month, look at the project, leave.
Yeah.
And so if they didn't like what they saw, there was lots of times where we'd tear it out.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't like that tile. Yeah. Well, we already laid, 1,200 square foot of it. Tear it out.
And you're like,
Trust me.
And we tore out brand new stuff all the time, which was incredible.
don't like the kitchen? Take those cabinets out.
It's like,
It's so true. I had a custom. He lives in Spokane now, but he was in Vegas as a custom cabinet builder. And he's like, you would never believe we'd deliver this 100,000 square foot job of cabinets. Put them in. They're like, yeah, we just don't. We just
I
don't
don't like
it.
the way it feels or looks. And
exactly.
They just
Yeah,
get
and
it
if
out.
they're not living there, they come there, they see it. Nope, don't like it. Tear it out. They've got the money.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do it.
Well, and it allows you to be creative. I think sometimes what I don't like about those same rules applied to Spokane is we don't have the rents to allow us to build that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Like you'll see a building here and there where somebody just probably didn't care. So they just built it. Like I love the one Jim Frank did that has the cool pointed edge in Kendall Yards. Like the most inefficient build he did of all the projects he did. That is the guy by far, but you can do it. Whereas now it's like you look at our building and you have to like clad it in
efficiency,
lap siding, and it's not because we love lap siding.
Right.
It's because we know the other cost of
Exactly.
the other stuff to do
Yeah.
it. And I think you're finally seeing some custom homes though that are doing that.
You definitely
and it's
are.
mostly because it's an out of town person that's
Yep.
hey, this is just what we want.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't have necessarily the all that money that the I-5 corridor has, that, you know, so we're slower to get there. But yeah, you're definitely right. It is happening.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see it. I mean, because I think it allows for that kind of creativity around what you do next versus it all being about function, which is smart. You need that, but it's been cool to see, or at least I've been part of some projects where there was still a budget, but it was definitely one that allowed for some of that creativity.
Right.
So.
Right. Yep.
So what brought you back to Spokane?
Well, Seattle brought me back to Spokane.
Fair answer.
It did, and I think
because that's a long time.
It is. And what's funny about like going anywhere that's got something like that with a lot of money and a lot of things happening is you get sucked in. Yeah. You get drawn in, and no matter what your end goal is, as soon as you get in the wash, you know you're in it, and you're just doing it. And next thing you know, you're getting bigger projects, and you're getting further along in your relationships, and you know obviously got married there and had 2 children there, and so life happened. But I think ultimately it was just Seattle wasn't where we wanted to live. You know, it wasn't where we wanted to raise our children. We wanted to be closer to family and outdoors, and it's like I'm a huge fly fisherman. I had to travel.
Yeah, where was the closest
and
place?
I fished a ton there. I don't want at all want to say that there's not good fly fishing there. I'm just a different kind of guy. I want to be in the mountains. I want to be in little streams. I want to be...
I'm getting the connection more and more.
I want to be out, you know. And in Seattle, it's like, I got to get in my car and drive 3 hours.
And there's going to be 15 people.
And there's going to be tons of people. And it just wasn't my jam, you know. It just was like, I want to be in a small stream in Montana. I want to get to Montana in 3 hours. I don't want to get to Montana in 8-10 hours. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was moving.
I do
back.
know what you mean. Yeah,
Takes up half your fishing time.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, I started doing the math. How far does it take to drive here? No,
I'm missing a day of fishing.
Yeah,
and there's wonderful fishing. Don't get me wrong. Tons of great steelhead fishing. Tons of great salmon fishing. I'm not at all dissing the fishing over there. It was wonderful, but just wasn't my little country piece. You know.
Yeah, I think the one I love visiting. But I was like, every time I pictured living there, just everywhere you went, there was people.
Just everywhere.
Like you can never get away from. You could never get away from it. Then every trail had like a jut out. We just did a fun trip. I was on a road trip. Went to Yellowstone.
Oh, I love it.
And it was awesome. But there was 6 cars, and I was like, "Well, what a cool experience that." But I could see what a busy summer, because we went off season. But a busy summer where you're back to back cars and you barely even get to experience what it was. But we would stop, the bison would come to the window, and I'm like, we got a unique experience. But it just reminded me of like the difference of what I feel like I can get into Spokane, escape to something where it could just be that break. But in Seattle,
100%.
even when I escaped, everybody else was escaping, so it was like you're just migrating with the escape.
Exactly.
And so
Well, and the majority of the people that I hung out with weren't Seattleites. I mean, I maybe 2-3 people of the 10 close friends I had were they were from the Midwest. They were like, I don't want to live in Cincinnati anymore. I don't want to live in, name a Midwest city. And they went to Seattle. That was logical for them.
Yeah. So, did you hang your own shingle there, or did you always work under that architect group?
No. So that first company I got in with, a close friend of mine, they were a full-on foundation to finish builder.
Okay.
So they did it all. We laid foundation formwork. Of course, we did sub stuff out, but we needed to know every aspect of building. Cool. So learning curve, super steep. Yeah. And of course, just had to learn every aspect of it through that particular builder. And they were a small, like 3-person builder. So that was my first construction stint. And I went to a few other firms after, and I ended up landing at a architectural firm that did no construction. They were just design. Oh, wow. Well, they wanted to start a construction division, and so I got in with them and helped them launch a kind of a construction division of their architectural firm.
Oh wow, that'd be helpful. Do we have anybody that does it here?
I could design build stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, but Boughton doesn't really. You still need to design.
No, and these guys, I can't remember their name, but the Japanese, very modern, very sleek, very cool.
I did mostly
architecture.
modern. Yeah. And that was the other thing that was kind of a little bit of a tough thing. I started kind of more like Craftsman, contemporary homes, and then soon went to just full modern.
Yeah.
Which there's not a ton modern here. That was the other thing. Like moving back here, I did maybe 10 years of just modern construction. But not many people do modern stuff here.
Why do you think that is? Just the age of the person building that style of home, or?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
Because we built out north, did one I would say it's kind of modern, but it's not modern. And it sells well because there's not very many of them.
In Spokane, modern is if you have a flat roof.
Yeah.
If you have a flat or like a shed roof, they're like, look at that modern house over there.
Right.
But I always wonder that with our market, because we feel like we have enough kind of sites that would dictate it from a view corridor. Like we're looking at one. We just finished our loft project downtown. So I'm like, what do we do next? Where do we go? So I'm trying to find like a super unique site where you could go put something like that in Spokane, from view sites to from riverfront sites to feel like there would be more of them because of that.
Well, modern is a lot of concrete, a lot of steel, and a lot of glass. Yeah. There's not a ton of like there is woodwork and stuff, so you're not going to get like carpenters that are like modern builders. It's more that you need to like have the right subs to meet that style.
And do we have them here? So I think one of the issues I always found was actually, let's see if you could do a definition between a carpenter and a craftsman, because I feel like there is a difference, and I feel like that it's the more I've done and the more I've met, there's a big difference to me. But like, what would be the difference? Because the price difference is double. But what would you argue a craftsman does that a carpenter doesn't?
Well, a carpenter's obviously wood based, guy. He's gonna do the framing. He's gonna do some of the millwork. That's
like
kind
Jesus.
of wood.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, he's a wood based guy. Yeah, where modern
didn't have much
is
steel then though.
Yeah, they didn't. Or glass.
Yeah, not a lot of steel, not a lot of glass, not a lot of metal.
Concrete.
open air concepts.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I guess always what I was told while I was working with these modern architects was modern is a philosophy. Oh, it's not just a building. It's a way of life. Like modern architecture isn't just. It's a way of life more than it is of what you build.
And the thought they put into stuff, right? Like that was always the intriguing conversations when I talked to Hooty about like different things. Was like they put so much thought into the placement of things. I don't know, feng shui or whatever, but like where the fireplace sits or how the mantel's positioned or the direction of the light coming through the windows. Like it's a very more thought out thing than you would think if you just walk in. You're like, oh, this is cool. This feels good. They're thinking about it from the ground up, like of every aspect of like where's the sunlight,
where the sun comes in,
and
where your viewpoints everywhere you look need to meet a certain criteria. Like, it's more of it's like I said, it's more of a philosophy of how you feel you should be in a space. Yeah. So there's a philosophical approach there. But as far as your question is about craftsman and carpenter, they're both. You can be both, obviously, and so the thing is being a carpenter, but then having to like kind of retool myself to that like modern approach. You have to be a craftsman to do that, right? You have to understand the craft of what you're building. So, it's kind of a little bit muddy there, but
no, I think it always is. Just
when you're marrying a lot of surfaces,
that's what I was gonna say,
right? Like you're marrying hardwoods with tile or with rock or stone or with wood, and you're kind of all of these things don't necessarily marry well in the best places at the best times, and so it's always when do you pick which product for which thing, and then how do you mesh the two, or how does it flow between And I've seen it done wrong.
I've definitely seen it
like
done
where
wrong.
it's almost like you go into those buildings or those houses where it's it's trying too hard. Yeah. Well, like you put all the things in here, but it's not.
It doesn't flow, and that's what I was speaking to. Was like now I've seen a couple, some of our local builders try to put out a modern product, and you're like, I guess like
you
relative
got a shed roof on the thing.
Relative to it, but it's like, but it's missing that intentionality. I guess is what I would say, and some of the features that would drive those. Because if you ever want a fun tour, just go look at homes in Seattle.
Oh, for sure.
They're beautiful.
Oh,
They're
I do
amazing.
that.
I do it in San Diego all the time too,
Oh,
and it's
that's
like
awesome.
that's just
Yeah.
it's just a different type of house. And
It
so,
really is. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I gotta love it. So what do you do now?
Same thing, building. Yeah. So
Okay.
I started my own, construction company. I did in Seattle, actually. While I was working with the architects in Seattle, I started my own thing.
Yep.
I was always kind of told that, like, work under somebody until you have enough work that you essentially get to flip them off. I mean, not really, but you know what I mean? It's like
F you money.
gather enough work and word of mouth and build up your name enough that you now don't need to work under somebody anymore. So that was kind of the trajectory that I had, was learn as much as I can from these people and put out a good product, care, work hard, the work will come.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I did, just started my own business. And I still like worked under the architect while I had my own business as well. So I was kind of, doing double duty there, but yeah.
Nice. So what would be some projects you worked on here outside of Keith's flip houses?
My shitty flip houses.
Well, and again,
Sorry, the ones you want to, the ones you want to claim.
no, I mean, I have a few. I did definitely have a few.
Actually, Keith does good flips. So
No, I don't. I think he's putting himself down there. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I'm not a nose in the air, and there's a lot of nose in the air. And I probably had my nose in the air a few times, Keith. I mean, you probably realize that.
I mean, a lot of times. Yeah.
I had my nose in the air a few times,
Well,
but it wasn't
just
like
stop looking at
it
them.
wasn't like fuck this, I don't want to work on this. It was more, I think that we can do. Like I always pushed, hey, let's move the stairs.
We did a really
let's-
cool project together over by Corbin Park.
We did, yeah.
And
Historic.
Corbin Park.
That
Yeah.
was super fun. to
On
do.
the
It
park.
really was right on the park.
parks, and
Cool.
same thing, not limitless budget, but a couple $100,000 budget.
Yeah,
pretty
to
high budget.
Renovate
Yeah.
a house, and that's for me. Like when I look at now, like projects, it's also kind of, if you can do it, right? Like some luxury, but it's like you can't always do it. But if you can do it, it's like marrying the project also to the contractor or the craftsman is like, so, like when I think of Hooty now, like I'll buy a house tomorrow and I'm like, oh, this is not a Hooty house.
I'm not gonna
Right?
call him on this one.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, what is there a Hooty house out here? I was like, why am I not getting any more phone calls from you? And then I'd get a phone call, hey, dude, I found a place, right? Like it wasn't that you weren't thinking of me. It was just they weren't all there.
But you want to match that budget with the kind of creativity and the person, and kind of you bring it all of those pieces together. And I think you did a really cool house this
turned
summer
out
for
great.
JMac. That was,
I did another one on the South Hills, kind of old Tudor. I feel like as much modern as I do love at my heart, I love Craftsman stuff. It just speaks to me, like doing a Craftsman home. I love trim work, and there's not a ton of trim in modern, so the Craftsman stuff just speaks to me. I mean, too. So I was able to do it for another close friend of mine. I did a kind of a modern-ish, like full gut kitchen-y kind of thing, and opened up a bunch. But I'm a kind of an open up space guy, but I do like to stay true to the style of the home. I don't like going into these, because I had so many, like I had an opposite problem in Seattle where I would, for the modern architects, I did like 2 or 3 homes in Magnolia. Well, Magnolia is a real bricky, classic neighborhood in Seattle. Well, I built 2 big modern things there, and I got my truck egged. I got
Really?
Oh yeah, bro. I mean, I got pretty much run out of the neighborhood, and I was just like,
they were that mad?
really mad. I mean, you go into Magnolia and you build a modern house. Ooh,
You
dude.
better surround
Well, yeah,
wrap your
because
truck.
you're putting a square block in to these beautiful brick homes, and people
I'm
are
just
like,
picturing some like executive from Microsoft egging your truck, right? Like,
Yes.
this isn't like ruffian kids. These are
No,
adults that are
these are
mad.
adults, bro. Yeah, and
That's
they
even
were
crazier.
pissed. Yeah, and I would just go to work every day, just
Some guy
crossing
with
my
a master's
fingers.
degree is like, I'm getting some eggs at this supermarket
This'll
tonight.
teach you.
This'll
This'll teach you.
Yeah.
Get out of my
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of I thought, well, what am I going to do here? And that was my first kind of project manager. I went from like the grunt labor to like a lead carpenter, like the succession of being like at the top was finally a project manager for the job, where you're running the site, kind of site superintendent, if you will. Project managers in Seattle mostly were behind a computer. Whereas like I feel like guys kind of like misinterpret that project manager thing. I feel like it's more site super. Like if you're a bags on guy, excuse me, you're probably a superintendent for the site. You're making sure the site's running the way it should. But either way, I thought, well, what am I going to do here? I was young, and I thought, I got to get ahead of this, you know, like people hate this house. We're not going to stop building this house.
Yeah, it's going.
What am I going to do? So I thought, I'm going to get ahead of this. So I went down.
So you start playing politician.
Yeah, I kind of had to. I was like, I'm talking to neighbors all the time. People tell me how much this place sucks. It's a beautiful home.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, well, I went down to the Brown Bear Car Wash, and I just bought like, you know, $300 worth of free car wash tickets. Every morning, I just would go slip in a free car wash to the BMWs, and I would just go, you know, 3 houses this way, 3 houses that way, and just slip in free car washes every morning. You know, because we were digging up, you know, dirt, and cars were, you know, people were always complaining about the mess and the noise and the yada yada beyond the fact that they didn't like the house. So I thought, well, I got to kind of make peace here. So I just reached out and started handing out car wash stickers, you know, on their car.
Did it work?
A few people were like, I mean, we're talking people who don't need their car wash, but it's more of a gesture.
They probably took it as an insult.
Yeah, they might have. Yeah, hey, sorry, we were cutting concrete this morning. Here you go, dude.
Cheers.
But hey, I could have not done that. And they could have had a dusty ass BMW that afternoon. So,
it's so funny because people just don't know that. Like everywhere we've got, Garland got the same thing. South Hill got the same flag.
You're gonna get it everywhere.
Because you're gonna get it, but it's like nobody realized they bought a house that once did that too. Like. At some point, that house was put in, and nobody wanted that house there because that was the field that all the kids played in. And you're like,
yep.
Well, human nature is so funny that way, right? Like we were talking about this earlier today. We had lunch, but it was like everybody wants a thing, but they don't want it in their backyard, right? So everyone's like, you know what we need? We need a new YMCA for kids to play at. And then it's like, but as soon as construction breaks ground, like 4 blocks from your house, they're like, what? You know,
we don't need a YMCA.
Yeah, what are these kids doing playing here in the new playground that we so needed? But you know.
I haven't quite understood that part of it. And then 5 years later, they're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think the
well, I don't think people know what they really...
It's just different. It's change,
you know,
right?
Exactly.
And you're
people
coming
don't necessarily know what's good. And I think, like, if you just take Kendall Yards, right? Like, people might not have thought that was something we needed here or something that, you know, belonged here. And then you have it, and everybody's like, dude, have you gone to the sushi restaurant in Kendall Yards? Have you gone... It's like... They needed it.
Well, then they're like, can't believe this wasn't done sooner. You know, like some people went bankrupt trying.
Hey, you fought them hand tooth and nail the whole way.
And then they finally did it.
Yeah, and then they're like, look at this cool neighborhood.
Well, because it's funny because
that.
It's not like the modern house decreased value. In fact, it probably increased value because then people could see that you could do something different in there. And it's just such an irrational. It's always the noise. I get that. Nobody wants to be near construction noise. But the reality is, it's not indefinite. And so, but that's usually the only one where I'm like, outside of the construction noise. Yeah. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, right? Like I tread lightly with this conversation in the sense of like it's hard to because it can also become a reason for like dictatorship, right? Like I think of like, you know, politics and people thinking like, oh, the people don't know what's good for them. I know what's good for them. So I'm going to push my agenda and they'll come around, right? Like there's that aspect of a lot of things that go.
I mean, in a sense.
And so, and to, I don't know. Like,
only caveat to this one is you were near a zoning that allowed for this use.
Well, and that's
so inevitably you knew when you bought your house
but they didn't think about it.
You could build apartments next to the Masonic Temple. You knew that. You're across the street.
Well,
but people
like flipping the page though, I was like, I saw an article this last week in the newspaper about like it was about mortgage fraud and a local lender getting in big trouble for this and that. But it's like the guy they're interviewing on the news, like openly, he's like, well, you know, like it was crunch time for me and this and that. And it's like, you know, I go in and I sign. He's like, I didn't read all the documents and I get this and that. I'm like, wait a minute, he just said that on camera. Yeah. Like he literally just said, I didn't read all of the loan documents I'm signed, but now I'm pissed that I'm in this situation. Correct. But now you're suing this person for like usury or in you know, unethical lending practices. I'm like, you literally just admitted on camera that you didn't even read the paperwork you signed, right?
Yeah.
Like, people have this victim mentality of like, well, I didn't do, or I didn't have the time, or I'm busy to do my due diligence.
I didn't know.
Like I bought a house in this neighborhood. I didn't really think about anything other than like just buying this. And then later,
and
someone's
that's the
like,
realtor's
well,
fault. Yeah.
you moved into this neighborhood. You knew this was happening. They're like, well, I didn't know that they could build that next to me. And I'm like, well, then you didn't do your due diligence. Like you didn't do what you should have done as the consumer to be like, well,
yeah, no one has a right to like post a sign. This could happen, right? So, but I mean,
there's a lot of that.
It's a little bit of our culture too. I have one caveat to that. I don't even know if this is true. I think it was. It's just every time I read about it now, I'm not
things
sure.
that we might not know.
Oh, really? We might get into things we might.
It's a lawsuit from a guy saying that ChatGPT made him too smart.
What?
And it cost him money. So he came up and does this algorithm about a special equation to solve something. And that he was supposed to report it to the authorities. He invested all his money behind it, but Chat was telling him, like, you need to not tell everybody about this. This is going to be a big one. And so he's suing because it made him too smart. And I was like, I think that is just the culture. Like, instead of saying, no, I probably shouldn't have listened to the computer, or at least fact check this thing. It's the initial thought is always it's your fault. And I think that's one of the bigger differences. There's a book, I'm not going to get into it now, but it was on a podcast I was listening to, and they wrote about 1929. And so the Great Depression and basically Black Friday.
Okay.
Well, no, Black Tuesday, whatever it was called. But they said
Black Friday.
That's like
that sounded too convenient. Well, that sounded too convenient.
That's when Amazon blows up.
But they were talking about, he said the difference there was like people took ownership of it. And that's why it took longer to get out, was they didn't blame it. They didn't pass blame. It was like stocks, what they're basically betting on margin.
Back then, right?
And they're like, hey, I know my broker said that, but I was the one who put the money in. So here's what happened. And he has several stories like that. And it's like, that is the biggest difference now, where it's like, if it misses, like, oh, yep, Jordan told me we should do that. And I'm like, and I think some of that comes with some of the parts of it, but little tangent. But I thought the opening, because I was like, I'm waiting to see like the lawsuits, the businesses, the intellectual property, all the things that come out of AI in general. But if you go in with that mentality, it's going to be super interesting of how legally you disclaim, you enforce, or you do those parts, because it doesn't mean Chat's right.
Right.
Like, they had to make it less friendly to people.
It is an artificial intelligence,
That's what I mean.
right? Like, it's not...
Right.
And it's just pulling facts off. They say 40% of it's from Reddit. I made that up, but I'm joking. But
I was kind of like, sure.
But I actually think it's very simple. Like, it's only pulling the facts.
Well, it's open sourcing information.
exactly.
And then it's regurgitating that information into concise or whatever, you know, paragraphs or narratives. But there is not taking responsibility for your actions, and then there's taking responsibility for your actions and decisions. And then there's that third echelon, which I think is missing a lot, is like, not only taking responsibility for your actions or decisions, but also taking responsibility for the things that are outside of your control that affect you. And we've talked a lot about this on the podcast, where it's like, that is sometimes when you want to lay over or get mad or get angry or play victim of like, well, I didn't see this, or no one told me about this. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's life, right? Like you have to take ownership of your own life decisions, and you have to recognize in every decision you make, there are things, scenarios, situations that you don't see coming, that when they do happen and they're good, a lot of people are really quick to take credit for them. Like it's really easy to own. Oh, I bought this stock. No one said I should. It blew up.
20 years ago.
I'm a genius. I bought this stock. No one told me not to, and it dived. Who can I blame? Right? My stockbroker, ChatGPT, the market. And it's
human nature, bro. I mean, is what you're saying here. And it's like, not everybody.
But it didn't used to be human nature, did it?
That. Well, I wonder if it's...
I think before people were like...
I think everybody's always like kind of... I shouldn't say everybody. That's obviously a generalization, but not everybody reads through documents and code and knows.
I'd argue most people don't.
And
full mortgage document.
You can't necessarily be
like...
You
usually don't until you get burned. And then you go, oh, I should probably read
What's
those.
the default provision?
Right.
Oh, what happens?
Yeah, and it's funny, like, if we could even parallel that with just like in the construction, like, I always thought it would be great to just have some sort of like educational course that people could go through before they even started something big, so they could know all the things. I even kind of thought at the time that it would be really good to have like this like pre-con construction course where you're letting people know of all the things that are going to happen before they do. So they don't just like, holy crap, I didn't know that was what, you're eliminating that. Like, I didn't know that this was going to be this way, Well, and it's more just like helping people along the way understand that, I don't know how you would do that.
But would they show up to the course? Would they pay attention?
Exactly.
Would they read that material or watch that video? Right.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just have to go through it. I mean, in some of the most industrial parts was people were just coming out of like back-to-back world wars. So your perspective is going to be pretty different.
Right.
Than most people today. And I think that lends to it. And the only reason I love talking about this stuff is actually because it's all behavioral. It's how we react. So we can go talk about real estate, but real estate trend is going to be based on that side, how people believe
human
real estate
behavior,
and human behavior, right? I can talk about business. We can talk about Brickwest Brewing and how we're going to grow it, but it's going to be based
Speaking of
on
our
those.
non-sponsor.
Non-sponsor. Yeah, tell me about this non-sponsor sponsor. I want to know about
Brickwest Beer.
Yeah.
It started off being our everyday sponsor, and then we went from 1 o'clock start times for our podcast to 10 a.m.
Oh,
and so
it changes things. That does change things.
Felt the touch off.
And then we started interviewing like important people who were like, I don't know if the mayor wants a beer.
So then you'll see us. Then you'll see us drink water. We do a lot of water.
We do a lot of water, a lot of coffee, a lot of over caffeinated podcasts. You know? But I always like so it set any precedence for the viewers today. It is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yes, it is. Happy Thanksgiving.
What do they call
everybody?
That? Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go. I mean, you can't be wrong with that.
It's Thanksgiving Eve,
which is always kind of a holiday in itself, isn't it? I felt like the day before Thanksgiving was
Friday,
when people got together and met their old friends coming in from out of town, and
big travel day.
It's kind of a holiday in itself, if you will.
Oh yeah,
it's the pre-Thanksgiving holiday.
And Thanksgiving is definitely a holiday that's, I think. I like Thanksgiving because of the lack of presents and other things, right? Like Christmas gets soaked up by the
you just get the people.
Yeah,
I think you get the
people and the relationships and the good food. You get the celebration, but you don't have anything else. Like
we were talking about
this
last night. Remember?
Thing, right?
It was. I feel like it's one of the great holidays in that sense. Is just get together, just cook food, have a cocktail, have a whatever, watch some football. It's just that kind of easygoing. You're not shopping for presents and that kind of stuff.
It's
the one day it seems to slow down pretty well. Christmas does it for me too, but it's like, and then thinking about it, I'm just terrible at it. So I'm the guy that even if 99% of my things were going right, I will dwell on the 1%. And for some reason, I think it's just that one day where you're just thankful. Yeah. Like thankful for family, or thankful that all my family lives in town. I'm thankful that we're here at this point. And it's just, you start thinking through some of those pieces, and it's my bigger fear. I use ChatG way too much. And I'll use it conversationally way too much. But like it'll be one of those where I'm like, all right, not sure what to do. And I'll have this conversation with it. And I was like, man, but what it's missing, it can never be and never will replace this.
Right.
No.
3 guys sitting around grabbing a drink. And I think the issue is that the generation behind, or like my daughter's 10, but like is going to grow up in one where it'll be integrated. It'll be in the form of a robot. It'll be in the form of some physical
if you listen to
manifestation.
Elon, it's crazy, dude. Like
there's no reason that wouldn't happen, because all we are is on a path of convenience, right? Everything we've done now is to make life more convenient so we can become more productive. Right. And you're just like, watch it play out, and I'm like, there's no reason that they wouldn't be able to do those things. And then guess what? You'll buy it. Why? Because I want more time with my family. So if the dishes were done, the laundry was done, boom, you're in a better spot. Oh, hey, you can help my daughter answer any of those questions. And you're like,
but nobody's paying attention to the undermining or eroding of like the fabric of humanity,
which is this. Like it's the
being
communion.
Human. Like there is an aspect of doing your own laundry or your own dishes that, like, whether people admit it or not, it's like, it's so easy to get caught in the slippery slope trap of like, well, if I didn't have like the laundry and the dishes and all these things, if it was automated or something else did it, then I'd have more quality time. But you would just have another thing.
There'd be another thing that you couldn't figure out.
But also, like, you erode what I would say, like the micro, like people talk about like death by 1,000 paper cuts in business, right? Like businesses go down. It's like, well, it wasn't one thing. It was 15 things over a year that was just like, oh, that's not a big deal. Oh, that's not a big deal. But I feel like you're chipping away, eroding at the fabric of humanity with like this convenience and technology piece of the fact of like, people will never admit, but they do get a little bit of self-worth from those tasks.
Right.
like when you do your own dishes,
productive.
This harkens back to what you were just saying about not knowing that those things were going to affect you.
And then depression is skyrocketing.
That's part of the
anxiety
equation.
is skyrocketing, and it's like, well, yeah, you've taken away all your little paper cuts of self-worth, right? Like,
well,
like
you
an
just don't get that
average
productivity
week,
piece in there.
You were like, hey, my week wasn't great, but I feel good that I mowed my lawn. I feel good that I did my laundry.
And I think there's a perspective
I put the
there
dishes
too.
away.
You know, it's like, I mean, the encyclopedia took something away right? Like it's like now it's like a technological advancement, that AI might be. But it's like the computer and all these other arguments of people. Well, the computer was going to ruin the world, and all this. It's
I think there's an underlying theme, though, or I would say I have a suspicion there's an underlying theme of people or may not be talking about it, but there is an underlying concern of like, well, what am I good for? Like, what am I? If all of this keeps continuing, like, am I worth anything? Yeah. Like, am I good for anything?
But we are that knowledge. We are AI, right? I mean, isn't the cumulative?
No,
I mean, we're all of these, all the stuff that we're accumulating.
They are our ideas.
They're
it's
us.
a regurgitation of humanity. Yeah.
Like without us, there is no AI.
Yeah.
But philosophically speaking, like what happens when you erode all the minutia?
The next
then you
series
have to.
of problems.
Well, I think what happens is you have to hang your self-worth on big things. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, when this project happens, like Keith is worth his salt. Yeah. Because you're no longer getting self-worth from like the dishes, the laundry, the lawn, reading your kids a bedtime story, doing your, so it's like, for me, I'm like, I don't know, like it's a slippery slope, but I think you start looking at like, because there's a lot of people that like have a lot of worth in not maybe epic fashion, but in solid foundational fashion. Yeah. And it's like, well, what happens to all those people? What happens to the fabric of humanity when like 90% of humanity feels worthless or like they don't have anything to contribute?
I would say it's not going to happen just overnight. I wouldn't think there's going to be 90% of the population overnight worthless. I think there's going to be a trajectory, and those people will shuffle into more.
Our part is we don't move as fast as it does.
And that's a good point.
The issue is like I went to law school. I got my law degree.
That's a good point.
I'm going down to be a lawyer. There is no reason AI won't replace it. And then what you will be as an attorney is you'll just be a negotiator.
Yeah. Yeah,
you'll figure out like it's one of the hardest things is that we aren't going to be able to move as fast. Because if I want contract
knowledge now, I
plug it into ChatGPT. I upload it and say, hey, tell me the 5 things that are wrong here. And then it's like, luckily I have a legal background, so I can put it in a format and do it. But pretty soon that's just training it.
Right.
And so then wait till those are all specialized spots. And the issue is, okay, I just went to school for construction engineering. That's gone.
That's gone.
Because you're not going to need it. Like now all of a sudden you're going to wear a GoPro on your head. There's already the technology.
Yeah.
It's called built or built out or something like that. Walk around and it'd say, you're 3 weeks behind on that wall.
Oh, really?
Wow. Really? It'll tell you like the...
Yep. Has the whole plans on it, and the site guide.
I thought you were going to say you're 3 inches off or three
it'll
weeks
do that
behind.
too. So no, it has the plans built in. It has your schedule built in. It has, and so you'll be 3rd floor, and it's tracking the whole way.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm like, okay, so that's there. So then my hope is that things get a little more affordable, if that's the right word. I don't even think that's the right word anymore. Because I think it's going to change kind of fundamentally. Yeah, might be attainable. Yeah, because I think it's going to be an interesting one. But my bigger fear is we can't move as fast as it does. And the new generation will be fine. I'm actually worried about like some millennial. I'm worried about ours and maybe the one right after ours.
Yeah.
You're a millennial?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah,
we're Gen Xers.
I mean, we're born 1980, so we were right on the edge.
Yeah, we're on the cusp.
I'm 84.
Yeah, so we were right there at the edge.
But like that's going to be the toughest one because now, let's say you're in there. And
I actually like that I got this dirt on Jordan now. I'm like millennial.
84.
Please.
You don't know.
I was like life was so much different.
Solid 84.
80.
Yeah.
82 was the real year.
Yeah, things changed a ton from 80 to 84.
This explains so much.
Now I understand it. But that's my bigger fear is that then you're not going to be able to pivot. So you're going to have the people, baby boomers who got out early enough. Yeah. And we're sitting on enough money to be fine. You're going to have our group that either found their niche and so their expertise will carry the day.
Okay.
But then what's going to be replaced is that expertise. Because it's going to learn it from the best of the best faster than you can learn it from the best of the best.
Yeah, and that
acceleration. And implement it even faster.
Yeah. And
so then it's how are you going to use it in your business. But if I'm talking about strapping a GoPro on a dude that can walk up a 7th-floor building, like you don't need expertise. Just make sure you're walking. And then pretty soon that's a drone. And so you look at it like Amazon, they're all scaling back, but they're scaling back the easier stuff now, which is coding and things that you definitely don't need it. But they think it's not coming after blue collar jobs. I'm like, I saw a robot put shingles on a house. You know why they can't sometimes is because we have human builders framing it.
Oh.
Yeah. Wait till you have a robot framing it and every line is plumb.
Right.
Everything is right. And that's my fear. That's kind of my fear with it is I think we're in the generation that's going to benefit massively from it.
Okay. Yeah.
Not even
You
generation.
might have just found
time.
the secret though to like thwarting AI is like if it ever is the humans against the drones or AI is like we'll just have to intentionally make shit crooked.
Yeah, exactly. You'll throw it off.
Like nowadays on construction sites, like guys screw with each other. They're like, "Hey, dude, put these in this guy's bag. It'll really
Exactly.
screw
You'll
him up."
never
Back
see
in
it
the day with
coming.
the robot, we're like,
It'll
"Hey,
just
just
shut a project
make it
down."
crooked on purpose."
Never see it coming.
The AI bots on the roof, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know.
Exactly. Freeze. Oh, and it's so true.
Cannot continue
We looked at 3D
forward.
building one.
Wall out of
I'm
climb.
done.
Well, it sounds like Keith's already figured out a way to screw AI over. So
He's already moving ahead.
fuck
to the
you,
Terminator.
AI.
You want to
You're
thwart
done.
Jordan's next construction project? Just go move it 2x4.
We'll just throw a bunch of mistakes in there, and
So true.
We'll call it art.
yeah, we'll call it art.
Oh yeah.
We made these walls imperfectly.
No, that's interesting.
Well,
though.
because we had talked about it before, and I'm like, think about we were horse and buggy 150 years ago.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Well,
to
I mean,
think
isn't that
about.
Horse and
doesn't
buggy.
Shouldn't that like give you some solace to
Even
the acceleration of our
100 years ago,
advancements,
dude.
though?
Meaning that, and then if
We
you
have
shrink it down, I think it's the 70s to now, so it's like a 40-year one
Right.
where the amount of technological advances
Incredible,
And so the only one that I would say is that the generation that had to experience that, you're just not ready for it.
Right.
But like my daughter knows more about my phone and about my like that. The newest one's going to pick it up and run with it, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
But it's that middle ground where what used to be normal jobs
Yeah,
are just going to be different.
yeah.
Well, and it's a relearning as opposed to a learning.
Yes.
Which is different.
Way harder.
Right.
I think
Right.
it's way harder.
Right.
Like if you don't know anything and you're taught something, it's a learning
Exactly. It's like learning a
process.
foreign language. It's so much easier for a child to do it than an adult, right?
Well, then it's sunk cost. Like
Yeah, because they can't
You
speak
can't-
English very well.
yeah, exactly.
Actually, already.
Of course, it's
suck at
easy for you to
English.
learn Spanish.
Yeah.
You don't even hardly know English.
Yeah. What's the malleability, right? Like of your learning, right?
So true.
And yeah,
But you think like trucks, right? Pretty soon, Elon throws out his automated semi truck driving.
right.
That's
right.
an entire population that has to go learn what? What translates from truck driving?
What are all the Somali guys going to do?
Yeah. It's a lot of our and so all of a sudden you're just like, okay, well something's gonna come up, right? Humans are too smart. Like something's gonna come up, but it's that gap between
Yeah.
something coming up that I'm most worried about. So it's
Anyways,
I was looking for more solutions than problems today, guys.
Yeah,
so.
well, it's
Sorry,
before Thanksgiving. I'll
bud.
be thankful tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Today we poke holes.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I love it. But what changes? I mean, not even changes, not even from a technological, but are you seeing, because one thing we talk about a lot, I would say consistently across the board, has been like housing has a piece, affordability. But like, are you seeing anything in the industry that would hint towards us being able to build a better, cheaper house? Because everything, I'm not gonna load my question. That's kind of from how you're seeing them built now to what we're doing outside of just shrinking. So we just
we're
keep shrinking
building
square
really
footages.
cheap houses.
Yeah. Like what would be cheap? What's cheap on
Like, what do you mean? Like price wise?
like price per square foot? And I can frame it. But.
Well, I mean, if you just look at 5 Mile, they're building lots of somewhat attainable. Like, I don't want to call it affordable because that's a kind of a slippery slope too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, but we're already
So I
building.
think, but that's the nail on the head right there, right? Like if you really want to say it,
Sub-developments.
we are building cheap housing
Yeah.
that is not affordable.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right?
I
Even
think we're
when we're
doing
building
it.
cheap, it's
Right.
not affordable.
Even when we're
That's-
building
yeah, I
cheap
think it's
or
there. We're
efficient,
building
we
an
are
affordable
it's
home.
still not affordable, which then begs the question of
Builders
well, why
are
is it not
always-
affordable,
Yeah.
even though it is
Yeah.
cheap or budget driven?
That's more the question.
It is more the question, and I think that's where a lot of people like their minds check out. But like whether it's cities or politicians, they're like, well, it's all the other stuff that you've stacked in there or that you're compensating for. Where it's like, listen, it's the framers aren't making any more money, the roofers aren't making any
No.
more money. It's
No.
like it's the municipalities. But I get it.
It was like
There's a cost.
28,000.
I mean, builders-
Somebody just did a post on our post. I think it was 28. Todd Sullivan said it was like 28,000 per unit. So even
Yeah.
though you can put 4 units on a property, it's 4 times 28
Yeah, I mean,
to
well,
hook up.
and
Right.
it's the size of the lot. There's so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
I mean, builders are already big, like large home builders are already doing everything they can to build a more affordable home.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
The larger tract builders. So that's there. I would say outside of that, it would probably be a material issue.
Yeah.
You know, if you could find some like reusable materials that are, something like that.
Yeah.
That could be, but
Yeah. So what do you guys think of the 50-year mortgage?
Love it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't. But
Love it.
I'm more into accelerated ownership. I think it builds wealth.
What do you mean by accelerated?
I think the sooner you can own your home, the sooner you're going to pass down generational wealth. I think if you drag that into a 50-year, you're more than likely going to pass that down.
But don't you think
it's going to get more people into
50-year
homes.
mortgage would accelerate?
But that first domino, I think, is really important to fall for setting up future generations.
Yeah.
And if you can own your home faster, that will accelerate generational wealth.
I think it just creates more options, right? Because everybody looks at a 50-year mortgage, but I'm like, to me, it doesn't matter if it's 50-year or 30-year. Nobody's staying in their houses that long. Yeah. Nobody stays in a 30-year mortgage for 30 years, right?
It's 7 years.
It's very
5 to 7 years.
5 to 7. So I'm like, okay, so you made the bar to entry lower.
Yeah.
You made the affordability better. Yeah. No one's going to utilize that product to its end. I mean, so there's refinance options, but there are other options along the way where I just think it opens up more options to home ownership that don't currently exist, which is the goal.
It does.
In the big picture of you want Americans owning American homes.
Yes.
You do not want big corporations owning American homes. You don't want foreign entities owning American homes. So
but will you ever own those homes? Will those homes ever be owned by those people?
Well, first of all,
a 50-year mortgage, less likely than a 30.
Well, it could, but also generationally, though, it will. It's like Europe or other countries where it's like, okay, maybe grandpa never paid it off, maybe dad never paid it off, but the third generation gets it, right? Like at some point, you want it in the hands.
You do. That's my argument.
Yeah, and they have 40 years in Europe. They had 40 years when I was there a decade ago. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the 40-year was more normal.
I guess. What are the cons of it? Like, I mean, what are the drawbacks?
The cons are
going
to be the rapid increase in appreciation, which benefits somebody who got in, right? So I like it for that reason, but it will prevent the next wave from getting in.
Well, then we'll make them 100.
Because it's but no, but
they're gonna live to be 100
point, right?
anyway.
But you're right. When you hand down real estate in Europe, it's generationally handed down because one generation basically took the hit and paid it. And it doesn't mean you couldn't pay more principal. I wish they would just restructure. If you ever see an amortization schedule for a 30-year mortgage, your first 5 years are interest only anyway.
Yep.
Like dang near.
I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah. Well, it'd be the same with a 50, but I also think that yes, if you restructure the AM, you're also screwing with the payment. Yes. So
well, and what happens to that money once that house is paid off? Where does that money go? And you need to look at that too, right?
Have you ever read the book?
Pay off a house, you're freeing up lots of income.
Have you guys ever read the book Strong Towns?
No.
You ever seen the Strong Towns?
Actually, the more of I didn't read the book, but
well, what he talks about basically is the landscape for U.S. real estate and lending, like people, the lending wasn't a thing before, right? Like you paid to build your house, you paid cash, and then lending became a thing. Mm-hmm. Lending allowed people to leverage.
Right.
But then what happens, according to him, is he's like, what happens is he goes, the lending practices became predatory.
Yes.
That's really the issue that we're looking at when it comes to a 50 or 30-year mortgage. It's not, it lowers the bar, it allows more access, it does a lot of the things I just talked about, but you're also banking on those lenders, those finance companies, right, to not be predatory in their lending practices. Yes. And I think that's what we've seen failed time and time and time again. Yeah. It's like when you bring capitalism
look
into
at the interest rate, it goes up, it goes down.
It's
not static.
It is not rocket science to say that the people who loan money to the people who need money have a self-interest in that person not performing on the money that they loaned them or in getting more out of them for it. And so it's created predatory. So I think if you actually were to mix a 50-year mortgage with more ethical lending practices, then you probably would thwart some of those
And I'd say they got better after 2008. I mean, they put enough of those pieces in place, but they're not there yet. There's still ways, right? Somebody proposing that needs to give out more loans. So every lender I'm calling now is like, we need to loan.
Right.
Well, and that's the problem with money. It has to circulate, right?
You're pushing something because you need a product out there because you need the money to circulate. It's how the economy's built.
But even like there's market changes and interest rate changes. Now you're setting up.
Well, there's a macro level and there's a micro level. But even at a macro level, institutions that have money that make money lending money have to lend money to make money.
Correct.
Right. That is how interest works. Right. The micro level is the people who are borrowing that money, right, don't have access to that money unless they're borrowing it. But those lending practices become predatory or become jaded. And so like you have this cycle of like looking for loopholes. So we correct it after the 2008, 2009 crash. We say, hey, we're no longer going to allow these stated income, no doc loans, blah, 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 blah. But then they find little loopholes. They're like, well, I have this loophole. I'm going to create this. They create a product
New product.
that is legal by all standards
Right.
and is yet still predatory and yet will end in disaster in 8, 5, 10, 15 years. And
Yeah,
then
depends on what-
they'll stop that.
Right.
And then they'll find another loophole.
Right.
But I think
And what do you do about market crashes and stuff like that? You know, I mean, you're more susceptible to all those market instabilities in 50-year. Right.
Yeah,
you're
but as you're locked for 50, which is the good part, right? So
Yeah.
the difference
Yeah.
is what hurt
Yeah.
the crash of '08 was they all adjusted.
right.
So if you did a true 50-year AM,
locked.
locked,
And
50,
it would
which
have
is what
to
they're
be
proposing,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And
okay,
if you
yeah.
wanted
But
to
no
take it,
prepays, so that's kind of how.
and if you wanted to take it one step further, is you make it assumable.
Yeah, and that's what they're talking about. Portable,
So it's
even.
a 50-year
Did you hear that one?
lock, and then it is mandatorily assumable by whatever friends, family, direct.
Well,
So there's no, because you could lock a great rate on a 30-year mortgage, just a lot of us have done 2.9%.
We got lucky.
But now you're sitting, you're going, I can't move, or I can't hand it to my kid because they're like, the lender's like, well, it's I'm gonna have to change your loan product if you.
Well, and
change
they want
the
to change the
ownership.
loan product,
They want
right?
it, right?
6%.
You've said this over and over, Keith. It's like you get lucky being involved in business in a certain block of time.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You could be involved in business in the 80s when interest rates were outrageous, or you could be involved in business in 2015 when interest or whatever. I don't know the dates, but you could just get lucky in those blocks.
Well, I've said this
And-
time and time again. It's like when I look back at my life,
Yeah,
it's
you
going to
said
be a
this.
lot of luck.
Right.
But are you going to claim it as genius, right?
No,
like they're
not
like,
anymore.
my
Because you
great
were in-
granddad Keith
Definitely not
Riddle
anymore.
was a genius.
There was a stretch
No.
about it, but now it's
Ship
gone.
sailed. Yeah, no,
It's
that's-
gone.
But really, it was the market that floated you. It's no different than like you could look at anything, but it's like whether it's gold or whether it's silver or whether it's housing, like in the right decade or two,
Exactly.
somebody gets into it. And it's like, if you look at the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts, like all these generational, humongous wealth name families. And it's like, no, they got into coal when coal
When
was a
coal
thing.
was
And they got
amazing.
into the railroad when the
Exactly. Yeah,
if
railroad
you're in
was a
coal
thing.
right
Right.
now,
Getting into the
Right.
railroad right now wouldn't be a great thing. Getting into coal right now wouldn't be a great thing. Getting
Right.
into electricity, like say,
Right.
it's like, well, it was a time and a place. Like, hey, in this 20-year period, my great granddad was on the forefront of electricity.
Right.
And everybody's like, what a genius businessman. You're
Yeah.
like,
No.
well, he wouldn't have been a genius
you
20
got
years
lucky.
before,
Yeah,
20
there's
years
still
later.
in a
guys-
time frame, right?
there's still wealthy
Right.
families sitting on kerosene lamps. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean,
Right? So it's like you play that part of it. But there was another caveat to they proposed, which I never had heard of. But the loans would also be portable.
what does that mean? Oh, you could transfer it to a different.
House.
Well, that's a big deal.
It's a huge
It's a
difference.
big
I didn't
difference.
realize that was a thing because then
That's
basically what you're
huge.
doing is saying, here's a line of credit on you,
huge.
Keith Riddle, $400,000. I don't know how they apply
With
it
your
to the next
house
house.
as a
secured collateral.
Secured collateral.
So
right?
you'd have to go probably get an equivalent
actually a
secured
really good
collateral
idea, right?
once you sold it. So then your mortgage goes with you. And I'm like, that's a
changes
product that could work
things.
because
Yeah.
we have to have home ownership. So that's what I go back all the way back to. You have
Yeah.
to have as soon
I
as we
believe that
lose
too.
home ownership,
Yep.
then we're like everywhere else. I mean, that's what Europe did. Like you can't afford them. So as long as we keep it where everybody has that ownership and has that ability to build, because a lot of the generation before us is going to be able to retire because their house went from $62,000
Yeah.
to $1 million.
Yep. And as soon as you own your home, you can lend off of it and
Yeah.
you can do other things off
Yeah.
of it. So, it affords you a lot of leeway there.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see how they introduce that part of it to get it going because it makes sense. I just was torn between the two because it's also that if that passes, then you should definitely get a house.
Right.
quickly.
I'm all for it. I'm all
It's gonna
for
go up in
also
value.
working the logistics out that make it a reasonable
Yeah,
endeavor
it'd have
and
to-
not
it'd have
just
to do
slapping
that.
it against the wall. Like, hey, now we'll amortize 50 years.
Yeah.
You'd have to do that.
If it's the same product, if it's a 30-year amortized product and it's now just 50, I don't think that works.
right.
But if it's a 50-year product that's assumable or is transferable or whatever, then I think, now you have a whole.
Yeah, add some stability there.
Yeah.
God, it's just hard, and you always. I hate that it comes always back to housing and that piece, but it's amazing. The more I dive into this, how interconnected it all is. I mean, it affects beer sales. Like all the way down to every piece of this gets affected.
It really does, right?
Just
And that's
so
the
many
thing.
things.
People don't have the money to go out to eat. People don't have the money for gas. People don't have the money for a lot of because it's wrapped in their mortgage or it's wrapped in their rent. Is what
Because you married the house and dated the mortgage. If I ever hear that line again,
married the house and dated the mortgage.
dated the rate.
I haven't heard that. I'm outside of the
Well, because
real
there's like,
estate
hey,
world, but
well,
I
it's like,
like that.
there's
there's
a
like
lot to
rates will come
unpack
down.
there.
Well, it's because like rates will come down, but the house isn't going to change. So they'll just get in the house because you want the house. Now
And you
rates
can
will come
afford it.
down,
Right.
and then you'll be fine. I'm like, well, it's missing a major fallacy, and that is like, what
They
if
might
they
not
don't?
come down, right?
What if rates do not come down?
Well, then you
And which they didn't for 2 years, essentially.
Well, they still,
They're barely down.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's amazing how it all ties together.
What's amazing to me is this conversation because, like, I have known Hooty my whole life, and most of our conversations were like rodeo,
Ooh,
how tight
like
your
rodeo.
belt cinch was,
Yeah.
what your beer preference was.
Yeah.
You know, at 20, our conversations were so much different, right?
They were
It's
so
like-
easy
Yeah.
then, though.
I
so
know.
easy.
Oh, wonderful
It's like-
conversations.
What was
in
your
the
favorite
20s.
rodeo
My favorite rodeo
that you've been to?
that I've been to or rode in?
Wait,
Or
why don't we start with this?
Me and Hooty, dude. Me and Hooty go way back.
Yeah.
Dude. We go back to
What-
sleeping
Well,
in
I love
towers
rodeos.
and
I mean, don't get me wrong, I
bulls.
love all the big rodeos, but
Yeah.
I did small time rodeo.
Okay.
I did like junior rodeo, and then I went to Pro West, which was like under PRCA kind of style
Yeah,
rodeo.
most like.
Yeah, and then I did college rodeo through Spokane Community College, which was kind of tied with WSU.
Okay.
So I rodeoed with those guys at WSU. But college rodeo was the bomb. I
That's
loved
cool.
college because college.
Where did you compete at then?
It was all everywhere in the tri-state, like
Yeah, okay.
Idaho,
Okay.
Montana,
Yeah.
Oregon, or even Washington, like 4 states.
Yeah.
But no, I just got bucked off and my ass kicked over and over again. I mean, I love to say, oh, I'm a bull rider, but I was just a dude who got on a bull and got thrown off, essentially. And that's what most bull riders
Yours
But
wasn't
Hooty-
the
I
8
wasn't
yours was the
PB
8-second
I wasn't
story with.
He
Oh,
was
I
the
had some-
Colfax rodeo champion in 1990.
and I won Colfax twice, by the way. I won the
kind of a
Pro
big
West
deal.
rodeo
Okay,
one.
you know.
So I did win some rodeos.
Got the
but
buckles to prove it. You want a life lesson, man. Start riding bulls, dude. You want a
Yeah.
life lesson about failure? You're going to fail like
yeah.
90.
Yeah, and you wanna talk about accelerated failure?
of the time. Oh, and failure that hurts.
Well, and failure starts even before that thing even opens up. I mean,
Yeah.
failure starts here in your head. I mean,
We're
you're just
sitting- I mean-
constantly like, oh, just a mind, bull riding's mind. Don't get me wrong. There's little scrappy, amazing, great athletes that are bull riders.
Yeah.
Most of them are here.
Yeah.
They're little 150-pound dudes who are here, locked, you know.
You have to be a little bit, don't you? Hopping onto a couple ton animal.
You
that
don't
really
need to be
wants
buff.
kill
You don't need to be
Uh-uh.
strong. You don't need to be.
you need to be limber.
You need to be,
you need to be loose.
limber,
you need to be
loose, and
agile.
mentally strong.
Yeah.
Ultimately, which has always appealed to me with rodeo was like, I'm a little nothing. Keith and I, we meet high football players who got yelled at more than we got praised.
Dog
Wouldn't
squad.
you say? I think our coaches probably were like, Keith.
So hilarious story about me and who he was.
We got yelled at.
Yeah, I'll tell you a hilarious story about me
We
and who
weren't
he
like
was.
we weren't winning state championships.
Well, our senior, anyways.
Our
we're not
teams
gonna, we don't gotta go on a high school glory days. See them mountains over there? I can throw a
should, for
football
sure.
over the mountains over there.
Right.
But no, like me and Hooty were similar size.
Yep.
And similar stature, and so with our helmet and our gear on, our coaches a lot of times could. I don't care how many times I got my ass chewed as Hooty. Like coach
Yeah.
would be like, Hooty, what are you doing? I'd be like,
yeah.
Coach, it's Riddle. I'd be like,
Yeah, and vice versa. Obviously.
and vice versa. But I remember one time you skipped out on practice for something, or you. Like, I'm gonna say you had a doctor's appointment. I don't remember.
We had a big time doctor's appointment.
But I ran plays for both of us when they would call our names for a whole practice, and no one was the
Keith was
wiser.
me and-
No, I was him, and I was me because we would swap with like a slot
And they didn't know.
position or defensive backs. And like I come out of practice, he's like, "How'd it go?" I was like, "It went pretty good, man. I thought it was you the whole time. They thought it was
Actually,
me
you're
the whole
starting
time."
tomorrow.
yeah.
I did better
really
as
well,
you.
man.
I did better as you than I did as me.
Yeah.
God, at some point I got benched and you're starting.
My starting spot.
So true. No, that did happen.
And
That's a true story.
the only other DB, the only other DB that was pushing position spots for like starting was Nate Adams, but he was black. So
Yeah,
I was like,
you did.
I was like, there
We
was
were
no,
toast.
So I was like, so they could tell the
God
difference
bless Nate,
between
by the
us
way.
and
God bless
Nate,
Nate.
but they couldn't tell the difference between me and Hooty. So it was like,
No, we did that. We did that actually probably a couple times, more than just once. I remember that. I think it was vice versa too. I thought you needed to bail, and I'll fill in for you. And I think that goes to show more how
little high school football coaches gave a shit about our performance.
But I think if you're gonna like circle it back, and I think to the rodeo thing, if we're gonna get serious about it, was I feel like I was always up against a giant.
Yeah.
Always. I was up
Literally.
against giant dudes who were better and greater than me. And I could
giant
just
animal.
take all that and sink it down into this animal, you know? And I guess if I were like, that was my mentality was there's these beasts that I can't I can't win against. I don't know how to word this properly.
It's
but
a David and Goliath situation
It's kind of
every
down to
time.
me.
Every time.
Yeah.
The bull's a Goliath, but also your competitor. Like, you
Yeah.
have some different
Because there were
players in
guys that
field.
had way more practice time than us, better
Oh.
spots, came off bigger ranches, had more practice.
Oh,
So,
totally.
like,
I was
you
a
were-
city boy who put on a cowboy hat and was like, I want to be a rodeo guy. I wasn't a dude on Texas ranch who got on bulls
Yeah, and I
three
grew up
times
on a
week.
small working farm that wasn't like my parents thought I was crazy. I think I had to forge my mom's signature the first bull I ever rode.
Oh, we had to fight
Straight.
tooth
They
and
were
nail to ride
not
bulls.
happy about
yeah,
that
our
decision
first
to ride
rodeo, we
bulls.
did that.
As a parent, you look back
Yeah.
and you're like, well.
Yep, Greg and Teresa drove us down to our
know.
Keller rodeo. And Greg, Keith's dad,
Yeah.
love him. Awesome dude. Actually, one of my biggest mentors in my whole life. He sat in the truck the whole time. I'm sure he was biting his tongue and biting the side of his mouth like, this is a waste of time. Yeah. But he took us to that dang
He
rodeo.
took us all the way up to Republic,
Hey,
Washington.
Just to watch us
dude.
get thrown off a bull in 1.2 seconds. And, you know, but you did actually do good at steer wrestling. That was
Yeah,
that was
I
your
was,
thing.
I think I took third or second on that go around.
Yeah, you could wrestle a steer
and
down.
I'd never done it before. This was actually hilarious, dude.
Yeah,
Because we
that's
went up
right.
there to we entered the bull riding competition. And a gal that we went to high school with, Tony Stanger, was there. And she's like, what are you guys doing? Or she's like, you're not entering the all around? And I was like, no. She's like, you're just doing the one. And I was like, she's like, why don't you guys wrestle steers? So I was like, okay.
Oh, sure.
And
Well, he
think
grew up on a farm, so
yeah.
I'm sure he wrestled a steer. I'm sure, right?
That
At some point in your
steer
life
came
before.
out of the chute, and I think it just like it was like perfect timing. It came out, hit the ground once, and kind of turned its head, and I was able to like horn it, and it was like on its
Wham.
back.
Well, and he
It was
wrestled
like,
too. I don't know how
wham.
much you guys have
Yeah,
talked
it
about
was-
Keith's wrestling career, but Keith's
No,
really
we
good
don't
wrestler.
talk
as
about
well.
Prolific.
Yeah,
Is
you
what
guys
is all
might
we've
have had
heard.
podcasts
Yeah.
just dedicated to Keith. Right?
We were going to do a wrestling podcast, but we decided to pivot.
Keith was a wonderful wrestler, so he's just like
Wonderful.
wham.
Wonderful. That's
You were, man.
That was they call me Mr. Wonderful.
So now we're understanding more and more. I think I just
Wonderful
need more
wrestler.
Keith's friends on so we can explain those
Maybe,
pieces.
yeah, that'll get you back into a little
I
bit.
was a
what-
little nervous having Hooty on. I call him Hooty, by the way, in
Well,
case
it's-
nobody's picked up on this at this
No, it
point.
You
has-
know, and it's funny because since I
It's
moved
not
back,
a stage name either.
I
so
moved back
No.
in 2020, right at the COVID era.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
And got into the building stuff with Keith, and there was this Hooty Chad, like, there wasn't a connection there. Like, who's Hooty and who's Chad?
Yeah, I would show up on job sites and be
because I
like,
never introduced myself
That's
as
how he
Hooty.
texted me. He said, Hooty might want a Pilsner. And I'm like, is that Brennan? Are we calling Brennan Hooty now?
No.
This
Hooty.
makes no
Actually,
sense.
tell them about the time you met Hooty and the Blowfish. Hooty.
Oh, I have a wonderful story there. Yeah, well,
Man,
yeah.
I should have said, hey, Hooty,
Yeah.
tell me your favorite stories. That's how we should have
Yeah,
started.
we
well,
should've
no,
started
it's
there,
a
but-
wonderful story, but I mean, it's actually ridiculous. But I was working in Las Vegas for a week. I had a girlfriend that I was dating at the time. Her father was the audio video guy. I actually was just talking about that before we started this audio video connection that I have. But he would record the audio for a veterinarian clinic that would happen every year in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay. So all these veterinarians would come down, and they couldn't all get to every talk.
Yeah.
So we'd record all of them and then sell them out in the in the foyer
Vendor
afterwards.
hall or whatever.
Smart.
Yeah, because they were like, well, what happens when a parrot chokes on a marble? I didn't go to that talk. I need to figure out what the hell. I did. So
good.
yeah, so I had all these tapes that we were selling out in the in
You
the
want
hall.
the parrot marble choke tape?
Yeah. And these veterinarians would be like, "Oh, a weasel that has stage 3 cancer. I need that tape." So anyway, to reward the the conference, they had a Hooty and a Blowfish concert in Mandalay Bay.
Nice.
And of course, I'm working the audio portion of that concert. So I'm in the audio booth, getting ready for this like concert, and here comes Darius Rucker.
Darius Rucker, yeah.
And of
Hooty.
course, back then I didn't know. I thought he was Hooty.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Darius was Hooty.
Yeah.
So here comes Darius walking into the back of Mandalay Bay, and I thought, this is my time. Here we go. I'm going to come up to Hooty and tell him I'm Hooty, right? So I here comes, like 3 or 4 bodyguards, Darius, and I'm like, Hooty, I'm Hooty too. And next thing you know, I just get lifted off the ground and just drug by one of his bodyguards. No,
yeah.
Hooty, sorry.
Not the Hooty.
You ain't the Hooty tonight.
There's
but-
only one Hooty here.
There's only one Hooty in Mandalay Bay tonight. But anyway, Darius just looks at me like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And I thought I had my chance there to.
Hey,
to
at least it
holler
was
at Hooty.
said, right?
It was said.
That's
It
a
was
moment.
out in the world, man.
I mean,
Darius
you
saw
can never-
me.
yep, you can
and I'm
never
sure he
not
was like,
claim
that fucking punk.
Well,
I'm
you're
not
probably
Hooty.
more Hooty than he's Hooty. Your last name's Huetter.
Yeah,
so I
last
feel
name
like,
Huetter, so-
Darius Rucker, you got no claim to
Well,
Hooty.
I don't think he's Hooty. Hooty and the Blowfish is the band.
Yeah, I think he's.
Well, this is the name of the band.
Yeah.
Hooty and the Blowfish isn't. Hooty's not Darius.
Or did they get him with Hooty and the Blowfish then?
Huh?
Somebody
I have
had
no
to get
idea.
Hooty
I don't know the history of Hooty and the Blowfish, but all I
Now
know
I'm
is
gonna
all I know is he's not Hooty of Hooty and the Blowfish.
Well, at this point, just you are now. In my
Brendan's
mind.
in there spitting his water out. He's like, what?
Yeah.
I feel like
Brendan, if you could Google that for us real fast, I just want to understand.
we would like to
Darius is
know
not-
who the Hooty.
Not Hooty, right?
He's not
Yeah.
supposed to be
Yeah.
Hooty
Yeah.
and Hooty and the
Because
Blowfish.
he
He's
came
not.
into
Hooty
the
and the
band.
Blowfish is just the band name.
Just a random
He is
name.
not Hooty. Yeah, so
So
if you
maybe
look
he
that
didn't
up,
even appreciate it. Maybe he was
Oh.
like,
Well,
that's the
yo,
big-
dude,
that was
I'm
why
not-
I
No, he
thought-
probably didn't understand you said that.
that's and I think there was a big disconnect at the time.
It sounds like
Clearly.
it sounds like
Clearly there was. because
clearly the security guard took offense.
only one guy got escorted out,
Yeah,
and it
the guy
wasn't.
running the AV
Yeah,
board.
what
too,
happened? I was
dog.
gonna say, what happened to the AV?
Who knows?
Yeah.
But I got my ass drug out of there. And then meanwhile, the concert went on. But yeah, that was my Hooty and the Blowfish
That's
story.
a good story.
Yeah, but I never heard what happened afterwards. I think they did let me back in, obviously, because it wasn't like I wasn't hard. I wasn't a
They're
threat.
like, hey man, we need
Yeah, that
someone
was
on
just
the
some little
soundboard.
dork.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's me.
You guys
yeah,
drug
who's
that
running
guy
the
out.
board?
You
Yeah,
took my AV guy with you.
yeah,
I'm
Don't
Hooty, dude.
Don't let the joke fool you. He is Hooty.
yeah. But that was always funny because, working jobs with Keith. Yeah, I don't like introduce myself as Hooty. It's just an old junior high school name,
Yeah.
So it's like I'm Chad. Well, who's Hooty?
Yeah. Well, and
Hooty,
it's
I
so
don't
funny.
even.
So
I don't even know who.
Yeah,
Chad
because I
is.
married a Meade girl.
Oh,
and I
did you?
didn't, but I'm not from here. So Moses
you
Lake,
married a mean
Washington.
girl.
Yeah.
Oh, you're from Moses.
Ooh, that's
Dang.
Well, I don't bring that up very often. I'm giving you all the
Wow.
dirt today. Moses Lake is its own fine town. Just not some
It
place I want
is.
to live.
I knew a Moses kid. His dad was a police officer.
Yeah, Joel Mitchell.
Yeah, he
He's
was
still in Spokane.
really.
Yeah, Joel's awesome.
That's,
Tony, I mean, I have a bunch of friends from.
Josh's good buddy's a fly fisherman. He's a guide. He's from Moses. I can't remember his name. Sorry, I'll think about it
There's
here.
only
But
30 of them, so it's probably not too many. But it's so it came up here, but it was amazing how many people knew her just on the north side
Your
of
wife?
Spokane. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, really? Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's all mead.
Well, it's
There's
mead,
just this
it's
like,
like
but like
its
mead.
own
So when I
hanging fruit. Yeah.
put this in
Needs its
context,
own- yeah.
graduating class was 12,
Your graduating
Mine.
class was 12.
Yeah, yeah.
Hers
So,
was 500.
500 or 600.
Five
Yeah,
or
we had
600.
huge
Yeah.
class.
That's what I.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, oh yeah, you're just like that's like a mini college. Like nobody's gonna know. And then you go everywhere, and it's like somebody knows somebody that
Yeah.
knew somebody
Yeah.
that was somewhere, and I'm like,
Well, and I remember I went to GU, not initially, but I came out of high school and then catted around and did my thing. But I ended up back at GU. But I remember I was like a sophomore, junior at Gonzaga, and the student body of Gonzaga was smaller than my high school.
Oh,
It was
really?
like, yeah,
Well,
it was
we
like
had one of the largest
1,800
graduating
kids, and I'm
classes.
like,
Yeah, that's
if you
before the split,
because
right?
it was before
It was
the
before
split.
the
We
split.
kept our seniors together.
But-
So Mount Spokane only had a junior class
Yeah,
that
that's
year,
right.
98.
That's right.
And so we had a humongous class. Like
yeah,
one
and
of
I
the
run into
largest
people in the
state.
grocery store all the time, and
Yeah.
people are like, my wife's like, how do you know them? And I was like, dude, I don't know them. And she's like, well, they knew you. And I'm like, I graduated with 580 kids.
Yeah.
What are the chances
I,
I know them?
I honestly knew 100 of them
Yeah.
at best,
Oh,
right?
yeah, totally.
You were just
Yeah.
a cog in a wheel at that point.
Yeah.
in
And that's
time,
what she'll do. And then she'll just like nod at somebody. I'm like, do you know them? I think they went to school with me. I'm like, don't you know everyone you went to school with? And this is where we broke it down. And then I'm like, oh, that's
no,
way too many
dude,
people.
My high school had
So she graduated. Is she
So
same
she
age
was
as you?
2002?
2002?
2002. And then her
Yeah.
sister, Lindsay, would have been, I believe she was before the split because they had split by the time she graduated.
98 is when
And
they
she was,
split.
Yeah.
No,
she
we were
was-
the last year.
Yeah. Were you the
99,
same age as
99
Lindsay?
had seniors.
I don't know if she was class of 98. I was.
That wouldn't make sense. She's not 4 years older, but you're not 4 years older than me.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
1980. I'm a Gen Xer and you're a millennial.
We just found that out this afternoon.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't do
Yeah.
math fast.
Yeah, we just found that out this afternoon.
But it's also one of the things I said it's the greatest attribute of Spokane, but it's also like when it works, it's great. But it was like, it's just, you can move, like, you can build and move so fast because you
Yeah.
already have that built in.
Yeah.
And I said the downside though is it's like a small town. It's a Moses Lake when it
It's
goes
the
bad. When it
biggest
goes
small
bad,
town that you
because
can
then
believe.
it spreads just as fast.
That's a good point.
And it's like.
Yeah.
Grandma's second cousin's brother is like, hey, Jordan, so Peyton, how's that doing? And I'm like, what? Who are you?
How did
again?
this
I'm like, oh,
happen?
Jesus.
News travels fast.
But it is fun to see and watch. And I've started making out my one of my nephews was starting for Mount Spokane football, so
Oh,
I made
nice.
out to a few of those games. It's fun. I'm like,
Nice. Yeah, I
there's
gotta
just-
love that.
It's super
It's
fun.
good
I just-
football up in North Spokane.
Yeah.
You know, Mount Spokane, Meade, good football.
Oh, it's great. And I think that's what I've done is I fell in love with the city. It's just kind of, it's awesome. And I think what's been fun is getting to know more and more people here
Yeah.
from being an outsider to it. But for me, it's always a win because Moses Lake, I mean, this is the big city. You came here to meet all the
Spokane.
cool people. Didn't realize they were all actually just trying to be me and ride bulls. So I come all the way
Well, I
from the
can
town
tell
that
you,
rides bulls.
there was-
Exactly. You should have just stayed in Moses Road Bulls, got a name
Yeah.
for yourself. And,
Oh, it's crazy. My best friend, so his brother got on Made, the MTV show Made,
Oh,
out of
Made.
Moses Lake
Oh,
as a
really?
bull rider.
Really?
And so he went and trained, did the whole like
so he's got
circuit.
that.
You can watch the show.
That's sick.
And I
Nice.
don't remember how well he did, but I just remember we kind of just fell into it from there. Of like
You did well
learned
enough
it.
to
Yeah.
make Made.
Yeah.
I feel like
Be
there's a
bull
lot
rider.
of bull riders that you'll never hear of, but that are amazing bull riders.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's such a 1% of 1%
Oh,
of 1% of
jeez.
1%
Yeah,
thing.
so,
Like,
so I
even
want to
more
get down
so
to
than
Vegas
the
or take my daughter to
NFL
one of them, Vegas or Cheyenne.
Oh, yeah.
So one of those two, I got to
Cheyenne.
get her to at some
yeah,
point.
and
just 'cause-
I would go to
Pendleton
Cheyenne.
Pendleton Rodeo is wonderful.
yeah, been to Pendleton. so
Yeah,
that
that's a
was-
good one. You know, but we got good rodeos here in Washington State too. I mean, you know, one of my favorite rodeos is Newport.
Oh,
It's just cool. It's
Yeah.
just this down home feel.
what makes it cooler than?
It's just got
others?
this kind of gritty rodeo.
Well, and they have a
thing.
grandstand.
And the grandstand.
Yeah, they have the
and
grandstand,
what's
yep.
awesome is everybody.
The chutes are below.
The chutes are below. So
So
you're
that's the cool
below
thing,
the
yeah.
crowd when you're
Yeah, so
getting
you're not
ready.
off to the side. So
You're
Moses
not
Lakes
off.
is grandstand, but then
Yeah.
you're actually way over
So when
here.
you're when you're
below here.
rosin in
Yeah.
your rope and you're
Yeah.
getting ready, your
You're
boots
underneath
are
the
stomping and
grandstand.
popcorn's dropping and it's just
Dude,
got
you're putting me in
this-
the moment. I can watch. I can
Dude,
picture you
I-
getting on
I-
it now.
I'm not
I can
gonna
picture
lie.
you getting on the bull.
He-
now.
Now
Yeah,
that
and
you
then you're
say
under
that-
there and you're rosin in your rope and it's just got this gritty.
Yeah.
And I just went to it because a good buddy of ours who lives in Sweden now, Nick, he comes to Spokane once a year in June, late June, early July. He makes a point to go to the Newport Rodeo. So he always calls me, hey, let's go to the Newport Rodeo, check it out. Well, okay, I've been there a bunch and I've ridden in it too. But when I went, I was like, this is a rodeo. Like, it's just
it's
got
cool.
that, like, just electric rodeo vibe, you know?
Yeah, the people fit, the verb, the
Yep.
vibe fits.
Yep,
It's-
yep.
Well,
So
it's
Newport's
a cool
one of those
experience.
ones.
Like, this is the thing I wish for the kids of today's age was like, dude, we lived in freedom, dude.
Yeah,
We lived.
Well,
Just
in
think-
we could have a whole nother
freedom,
podcast on the freedom
bro.
of the
Like,
80s and 90s,
Like,
right?
we
Logan has a
drove-
scooter and she has to have a helmet on
Yeah,
every
no,
time.
dude,
And I'm like,
we
we
could
had
do-
no
that's-
helmets.
this is what I'm
We
saying.
had
we could
no
have a
training
whole nother
wheels. We had
hour of
I
talking
have
about that.
a whole theory, Keith's theory.
Oh, Keith's
of-
theories.
I feel like
that's our second podcast
Yeah.
is spinning
Yeah.
off.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
fewer
Chestnut
listeners.
Checkers.
Yeah.
Listen next week to Keith's theory.
Actually, at this point, it's just checkers. It's
Yeah.
just checkers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to start another podcast called Checkers.
I love checkers, by the way.
So,
Come
Chestnut
on,
Checkers.
man.
Keith's new podcast is called Checkers.
Well, and it's funny because I didn't know that this was the
Hop,
name of the
skip, and a jump.
podcast. So I looked over here and Chestnut Checkers. Yeah, can I be the VJ for a quick minute and ask you guys a couple
go
quick
ahead.
questions?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Why Chestnut Checkers?
Oof.
Do you want to take that
You take
one?
it. You take it. 'Cause
Just quick.
Well, initially it was just super clever name, you know. But no, I think for a lot of the guests that we've had and for just the premise of the show is like we look out in the world and we see people that are doing things at a different level. Okay. And we're like, that person sees something I don't see, or they're doing something outside the norm, whether they're a builder or developer or a business person or a politician. We're like, there is an aspect of life where you see individuals, male, female, whatever, that are playing the game a little bit different. Okay. And it's like they're playing chess and we're all playing checkers, right? So like, what is that? So then it's like, well, I want to pick their brain. Yeah. Like, that's the person I want to have come on the show. Love it. And like to your, you know, to your detriment or to your demise today, Chad.
Yeah, yeah.
No, to your, to you, it's like I saw that same thing with like you in Seattle and the framing and the carpentry and the craftsman is like it's a step up, right? Like it was you were doing something that a lot of people were doing, which was building buildings or houses, but you guys. The architecture group and you and the way you guys did things was like you were clearly seeing things different. Yeah. You were playing the game. This wasn't Johnny's contracting company. This was people who were building something from the ground up for one, but building it in a style and a fashion and in a way that was like so thoughtful and methodical about the position of something or the placement of something. I mean, I've had Hooty do like something as benign as like the mantle in my house, but it's like whether it's eye level or sleek or square, like he's very, watching Chad work is very cool because you're like, that's a craftsman, right? Like that person's not just
not playing checkers.
Not playing.
I play checkers sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. No, that's all I was wondering. Like,
no, but that's what like because we'd have these meetings, and then it was like, well, how are we going to grow? And so a lot of it was like, well, it's just figuring out how do you do that that much better. And I think the difference was I expected to come on here and be like, so I always bring my notepad. I get some good notes from it, but it was like I thought I would just be taking notes. Mentally taking your notes.
Jordan has reached for his notepad one time.
Rodeo guy.
You'll know.
I was gonna say, is that notebook?
I'm gonna have to do it right after. But it was like one of those. I thought we'd sit down, I'd take all these things away, and I would be like, I'm gonna go rebuild from this because we get pretty exclusive access, right, to somebody for an hour.
That's awesome.
And then you come to find out, it all boils down to the same things.
Yeah.
They had grit. Everyone faced a hard situation in their life where they could have given up. They could have gone left and right. They went right. And they found a way to work through it. Now they're focusing on systems. And every one of them have done the same journey. Pain led to forced system creation. And then now their systems are running them, creating this life that everyone looks at and like, I just want that. And you're like, you're skipping over this huge part. And I think what's been awesome is I see that pattern existing, but then everyone will have their nuance. It's like for Brandon, last time we talked, it was the EOS system.
Right.
For somebody else like a Reed, he had his own systems between how he had his team set up. Yeah. And so the goal is that we introduce it to people who are like just trying to figure out that next step for themselves. It's not going to be the beginning entrepreneur.
Or feel alone. I feel like in the entrepreneurial business world, like there's a lot of people that feel on an island, like you're alone. Like you're the guy at night who can't sleep because you're constantly trying to think like, how do I make this better? How do I improve this? But it's also a lonely journey. Like there's a lot of people that are like, dude, is it just me? Like, am I the only like sleepless human in Spokane or whatever town tonight that's just like constantly like, I can't sleep because things aren't right. Things aren't.
Payroll's due tomorrow. Not sure what to do. And you're like,
perfect.
And I think that's the balance, right? Is you're just constantly. And so the hope was you kind of enlightened that way. But I've had people reach out from even just listening to this, and it's just like the word they used was refreshing. And cool. I think that's a word I would use if I listen because I'm like, oh yeah, wait, there is somebody else struggling through this.
They were talking about
nobody has it perfect because we'll have really talented people on here.
Refreshing.
Yeah, it's super refreshing.
Very refreshing.
Just like our sponsor, Cut to sponsor, Brennan. But it's that, and I think what I've been impressed with is just like listening, so we don't get a lot of questions back our way because it's a lot of just listening and hearing how every journey and and they all took it, like even Jason's when building the 509 Drive and like, hey, he spun that into something, and all of a sudden you can take these little pieces from it and realize
it's huge.
You could be building an HVAC company.
Yep.
Apply the same things and go. You can be starting a doctor practice, apply them and go. So
very cool, nice.
Well.
Thanks for your questions. You will be a powerful third guest.
Now we're on our heels.
Yeah. Sorry, by the way.
Why did I do this? No, I think I would end this on a note of like gratitude of thank you for joining us today, dude.
This is awesome.
And lighting us with all of your wisdom of bull riding and contracting and
running up to Hooty.
And you know, all the things.
Yep, I'll do
memorable.
that all day long.
Memorable.
But in honor of Thanksgiving, I would just say to all the listeners out there to, it's really, for me, it's scarcity versus abundance. And it's being appreciative of the abundance in your life and the things around you and the people around you. And I think that to me is like the biggest takeaway I get from all of these things is like most of the people that we have on this podcast are uber appreciative of the people that they work with and that they work for and that the opportunities that they have. And I think it's very easy in today's age to get jaded and to get downtrodden and to feel like you're up against a humongous hurdle that you'll never conquer. And I think the secret of a lot of that is just gratitude. It's just being thankful for being alive and being able to push forward. And as cliche and stupid as it sounds, thankful for your problems.
Yeah.
And,
No doubt.
you know,
No doubt.
we're all here. We're all trying to figure it out. And,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. Just fighting on.
Fighting on. I like
fighting
that.
on, you know. Well, thank you
Awesome.
very much for joining us today. If you have not had a chance to like or subscribe to our podcast, we'd really appreciate it. And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.